We want to thank Chazaq, Baruch Hashem. What an organization. I remember one time I walked into a cologne store. When I was a teenager, I used to wear cologne. That was the thing to do. I used to have hair in those days, but I used to wear, right? And I used to put on cool water cologne or all these types of colognes. One time I went and I came home, my mother said, "Why'd you put on so much cologne? What's the matter with you?" I said, I didn't, I just went, I just shopped, and what's the big deal? She says, "You stink. I smell you." I said, "Mom, that's my, natural." And right? I said, I didn't put anything on. What are you talking about? But when you walk into a perfume store, the potency of the scents that are permeating the room, it rubs off. Really, the name Chazaq should be called Mehazek, because that's what they do. They go out and they strengthen people. They go out and they bring people closer to Torah. But Chazaq, the people at Chazaq are so strong. The potency of Kedusha that resonates within the walls of Chazaq is so potent, is so great, that just being around them, you already get, it's a contingent that's in the air. Just being around Rabbi Ilan and with Rabbi and Yaniv and all the people that are involved in that wonderful organization, just being there, already you usurp a little bit of that Kedusha. That's why it's called Chazaq, because that's their essence. They themselves are strong. They themselves are Kedushim. And therefore, you can't help but, sampling and taking a little bit of that. So, B'ezrat Hashem, they should have a lot of Hatzlacha and only good things. B'ezrat Hashem, Amen. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem. We're here to discuss Elul. And I picked a nice topic for tonight's class. I don't really remember what it is, but I remember it was nice. It was investing in Hashem and in yourself. And the question really is, what is the essence of Elul? Every holiday, every time, has an essence, has a point, has a goal, there's a mission. There's something that you're supposed to achieve, something that you're supposed to accomplish. And the question is, what is the accomplishment that I'm supposed to attain in Elul? That's how we know, by the way. Rabbis write, there's a pasuk in Shir HaShirim, Ani ledodi v'dodi li haroeh b'shoshanim. I am for Borei Olam, Borei Olam is for me, right? The God who shepherds amongst the roses. By the way, what does it mean, shepherds amongst the roses? So I have a daughter, her name is Rosie. And we always tell her, Rosie, Baruch Hashem, she's a good girl, and she'll live many years. And one of the things we always tell her is that roses, they smell nice and they're very pretty, right? But there's thorns. Sometimes they're a little spiky, a little, depends where which part of it you rub. If you rub the wrong way, you might come out with a few stitches, okay? So, Borei Olam is there, He's watching you. Sometimes it smells good, and sometimes it's a little thorny, it's a little painful. But Borei Olam is always there, He's always watching over you. But the rabbi is right, Ani ledodi v'dodi li is an acronym. There's an acronym there, and that is Elul. So Rashi Tevot, Elul. Ani is Aleph, ledodi is Lamed, Vav, right, V'dodi, and Li. It's Elul. Wonderful. What does it mean? It's a beautiful acronym. It's a wonderful Kiddush. But what does it mean? You have to quantify it to me. So that's question number one. What is the goal, the mission of Elul? Question number two is, what is the message for me? Because if I'm sitting here today, or I'm watching on Torah Anytime, or in live feed, hi mom, right? There's a reason Borei Olam wants me to watch this class. There's something that God wants to communicate to me, to transmit to me personally, and I have to try to understand what it is. So everybody ready? Let's get started. By the way, if anyone says anything bad, just erase that comment over there. Okay, good. Let's get started. Ready? The truth of the matter is that the point, the mission, the mode of operation in Elul is devekut. Devekut, clinging to Borei Olam. Now, by the way, what is devekut? What does that mean, devekut? Devekut means that I stop concentrating on myself. I stop being self-centered. I stop worrying about my own needs, my own wants, my own will. And I start focusing on Borei Olam. And you know what? Sometimes we walk around, it's very hard in America, in a world of capitalism, in a world where, Baruch Hashem, there's wealth, there's opulence, right? There's affluence. Sometimes it's very difficult to take a step back and say, wait a second, what does Borei Olam want from me? Not only in everyday dealings, but even when it comes to holy matters. Many times we're so focused on ourselves and our own wills and our own wants that we forget about Borei Olam. I'll give you a couple of examples. The other day, a Hatan and the Kala sat in front of me. Okay? They were getting married, and every time a couple gets married, they sit in front of me and they give them points. points of how to conduct your marriage. Basically, I take everything I did wrong and I tell them not to do it. That's what happened. It works like a chum. And I was sitting in front of them, and all of a sudden I say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions? Is there anything you want to know? So the lady says, Rabbi, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. She says, on the wedding ring, are you allowed to have words on the wedding ring? I said, words? I mean, you mean like, I don't know, Ashiviti Hashem l'negdi tamid, maybe Hashem, I love you. What kind of word do you want on the wedding ring? She goes, well, I just want to know if it could say Gucci on it. I said, Gucci? I said, you want to know if your wedding ring could say Gucci? I said, are you joking? If it could say Zeytouneh, I don't know about Gucci. Okay, I don't understand. What are you talking about? We spend so much time on the wedding rings, and so much time on the flowers, and on the centerpieces, and on the band, and on the DJ, and on the wedding dress. Shema Yisrael, how many times do people go to I have a fitting tonight. If the girl is getting engaged, she's never showing up to my class again. Okay? Because there's always a fitting on Monday night. Why on Monday night? I don't know. Why you can't do it on Tuesday night? No, there's nothing. Nobody has anything on Tuesday nights. Okay? I don't understand. But every Monday night there's a fitting. I mean, what happened? Did you gain 4 inches in the last week? What are you fitting? It doesn't make sense. But we spend so much time and so much energy on the fitting. And yet when it comes time to the Kala classes and the Hatan classes, then we start to skimp out. Now, Rabbi, I don't have time today. Can we do the abridged version? Can we do the quick one? Like give me a video. I'll watch it on my way to work or something. Right? Why? Why when it comes to Borei Olam we start compromising? But when it comes to us, there we come and invest all our time. What about Bar Mitzvah? Bar Mitzvah also, we put out the balloons. I remember when I was a kid, they used to have a thing. You used to go to the ulam, used to go to the social hall, and at the end of the wedding, some guy used to take a pole, like a 30-foot pole, and he used to stick it up to the ceiling and pull down, and all balloons used to fall out. And I remember I told my mom, you remember that? Were you at my bar mitzvah? No, I didn't. You were?
Yeah.
I'm a little scared, okay. Because if you were, you didn't get me a present, I'll tell you that much. Okay. And I remember that was my focus. Ma, don't forget the balloons. Ma, I want the balloons. I want the balloons. Honey, you're 13 years old. What are you talking about? Who plays with balloons anymore? Okay, and the suit, and what you're going to wear, and how you're going to do it. But when it comes to the tefillin, now we start asking questions. Rabbi, how much is tefillin? $1,200. $1,200? Could you make it 5? You have one for 5. You have one. Hey, if you want, there's one for 25 cents also. You go to the machine and press right? What are you talking about? Why are you compromising on Borei Olam? Where's your focus? Forget about everyday dealings, but dealing with godly things. Do we focus on Borei Olam? Sukkot comes, right? Zat Hashem, it's another month. I can't believe it's like Sukkot just finished, and already it's coming, Zat Hashem. And we go and we buy these lavish Sukkot, and we decorate them so nice. We adorn them with wonderful things, chandeliers. I know people have chandeliers and couches, right? Wonderful. And when it comes to the lulav and etrog, we look for the $25 pair. Why? Because when it's a sukkah, that's for you. Sukkah is for you. Lulav and etrog is for God. And therefore, when I'm going to live in the lap of luxury on Sukkot, I want to be comfortable. So therefore, I'm investing in myself, not in God. Ladies and gentlemen, Elul is a time when we stop thinking of ourselves and we start investing in Borei Olam. Elul is the month Ani Ledodi. I am investing, I am there for God. Just like they said, right by there, Mila Hashem Elai. Whoever's up for God, come to me. We were talking about V'yasiful of Kopan Levi. Who came? Levi came to Moshe Rabbeinu to fight against their brothers. That was inconvenient. It wasn't so easy. There was no felicity over there. But they did it because they invested in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They invested in Hashem Yitbarach. That's what Elul is all about. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Tonight I want to talk about how to invest in Hashem Yitbarach. Everybody ready? Let's get started. How are you? Here we go. There's Rabbi Yosef Chaim from Baghdad writes a sefer. He wrote a sefer called the Ben Ish Chayil. So we all know the Ben Ish Chai, that's the famous sefer. There were many, Ben Ayahu, Ben Yoyada, there's Ben Ayahu. There's many different sefarim that Rabbi Yosef Chaim published. There's one called the Ben Ish Chayil. And over there he says, what's the difference between the days of Elul and Aseret Yemei Teshuvah? Why do I have this? It's separated by Yom Adin. Why not just have 40 days before Rosh Hashanah, and that's it? And you take both time periods and you combine them into one, right? They make them converge. Why does it have to have 2 times separated by Rosh Hashanah? Says the Ben Ish Chai. The entire purpose of Elul is something called Yir'ah. Doing teshuvah, coming close to God from yir'ah. Now, what is yir'ah? So yir'ah, many people think is fear. But says the Mishnah Yeshrim, it's not fear. Yir'ah is awe, fascination, right? Being fascinated with God, being dazzled by Borei Olam, taking a look at things that Hashem does and saying, I cannot believe that such a thing exists. It's an unbelievable thing. And that is the avodah of Elul. By the way, the avodah of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah is ahava. So fascination with God, amazement by God, that's Elul. And after Rosh Hashanah, we're able to now uptick our relationship, and then we go into something called love. You know what it's like? A person goes on a date. Okay, so all you single people, B'ezrat Hashem, soon you're going to have a lot of dates. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem. You know, you're going to eat one on Rosh Hashanah, but that's besides the point. Okay, by the way, you know there's a Segula. They say the Segula? Rabbi, you hear the Segula? When I was in Bet Midrash, so my rabbi came and he said, listen, you know you're supposed to take a date, right? So he says, when I was a bahur and I was ready to get married, I took a date and I said, Yiratzon, I should have the perfect date. Perfect date. He ate it, he said, that year he got married. I said, Chacham b'jenin, I'm trying it. I said, because for me it's a miracle. Anyone's going to say yes to me is a miracle. Okay? I said, no problem. And I sat down, Rosh Hashanah, and everyone there, I said, 1 second, I have an additional one. I said, this year I should have the perfect date. And that year, I got married. Against my wife's will, by the way. But anyway, I got married. And then the next year, a couple of years later, my sister tried it, and she got married. And my cousin tried it, and she got married. Baruch Hashem. So I don't know if it's old dates, but definitely Zeytouneh dates have a nice little potency. Yeah, we're selling them for $25 a pound. Okay. But the point of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah is ahava. But Elul is yirah. You know what it's like? I was saying, this person goes on a date. When you go on a date with a person, you don't fall in love with the person right away. But what do? You look for virtues. You look for things that are good about them. You look for positive qualities in them. You look for things that you're good, that you want in yourself, or that are compatible to you. And that's what you look for. You look for the awe in the person and how awesome that person is. Not awful, but awesome. Between me and you, my wife's still looking, but we're getting there. Is that the ship? She used to like my hair, but that's gone, so that doesn't really do. Okay, that doesn't do anything. But a person has to realize that when it comes to Elul, you're on a date with God. And first you have to find God's virtues. You have to find the fascination and how fascinating Borei Olam is, how amazing God is. And only after that, then you could go to Ava. Only then can you develop a love relationship with Borei Olam. And therefore, that's exactly what we're doing in Elul. The point of Elul is to catch that fascination. I want to tell you a great story. Happened today. So the truth of the matter is, I think I'm like a spring chicken. I happen to think I'm a very young person, young in heart. Baruch Hashem. In fact, when I first started teaching, I taught the 7th grade in a certain school, we won't say where, and they told me that they're like the sweat hogs. Like they're a horrible class, they make trouble, they don't listen to anybody. And Baruch Hashem, with me, they were putting my hands. We learned and the kids were doing great and they were accelerating, they were excelling in their studies. And one day I walked into the office and the administrator said, Rabbi Zeytouneh, you want to know why you do so well with them? I said, you know? Because I have no clue. She says, because you're a kid. You act just like they do. So in my opinion, I believe that I'm very young. But once in a while, I get reminders, subtle reminders from people. Now my wife thinks I'm young too, I hope. Right? That I'm not as young as I think I am. So the other day I wake up and my heels are hurting. My ankles are hurting. And I turned to my wife and said, honey, am I an old man? She goes, oh, you're young, what happened? I said, I think my ankles are swollen. She goes, are you pregnant? I said, I'm not pregnant. Pregnant, I'm not. Maybe I'm getting old. Anyway, so I went to a doctor and the doctor took some tests and he prescribed for me 21 days of medicine constantly, morning and night. You have to take 2 pills a day. 2 pills a day. Unbelievable. So I started taking it religiously, and I'm very bad with pills, very bad. So I put reminders in my phone. Okay, take pill, you bum. That's the way it works. Okay, and then so every morning I take one, every evening I take one, every morning. Now came Shabbat, and there's no reminder. So there's no reminder on my phone is not on, and all of a sudden I forget to take my pill. And God forbid, it's not good to forget this certain pill. And around 1 o'clock, I was supposed to take it at 9 o'clock, around 1 o'clock, my ankle starts hurting tremendously. The pain in my ankle, I turned to my wife and I said, I don't understand. I'm only a couple of hours late. What does that mean? Why is there pain in my leg? She says, okay, so take the medicine, you'll feel better. I said, great. So I took my medicine, and a couple of hours later, I felt better. And then I turned to my wife and I said, look how Borei Olam works. There was no alarm. Borei Olam was my alarm. Hashem didn't want me to forget that course of medicine. Hashem didn't want me to forget that dose. Because Chaz v'shalom, if I do, it could prolong the recovery. So God said, I'm going to make your ankles hurt. I'm going to make it painful. So that way you're forced to take that medicine. You're going to remember to take the medicine. All for my benefit. That's awesome. Taking a look at even the things that don't go your way. And sometimes maybe things don't work as you planned. And saying, wow, Borei Olam, look how fascinating you are. Look how amazing you are. I want to tell you another story. I once saw, we started a new yeshiva, Baruch Hashem, Yeshivat Kenyan Torah, YKT. I have one of my students is here, Baruch Hashem. He thinks he's going to get extra credit if he comes, but anyway. And Baruch Hashem. So, by the way, there's refreshments in there?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I came. I'm just saying. And so, let me tell you. So, one day I had to fundraise. And it wasn't for this, it was for my shul. And I go see, there's a big man, a man very affluent, and he distributes tzedakah. And I walk and I'm sitting down with him, let's call him Joe. And I say, Joe, how are you? I want to tell you something. We have a shul, Baruch Hashem. The shul has a lot of people, it's packed on Shabbat. And there's a lot of Torah going on with different shulim, and shulim for young people, young adults and kids, and older people, ladies in Arabic and English, it's unbelievable. You got to see it. I said, Joe, we need your help. I need your financial help. I can't do it. I can't do it. I need you to come. You have a fund, right? You have a foundation. Help us. He said, I know exactly who you are, and I want to help you. I said, good. That was easy. I said, can I answer your question? Why are you helping me? Now, whenever you ask that question, well, if he was wrong with what he was thinking, I'd lose the money. So I didn't really want to ask the question, but the curiosity got the best of me. I said, Joe, can you please tell me, why do you want to help me so much? He says, let me tell you a story. He says, when you were younger, you and your father, says, you and your father used to walk home an old man. Do you remember the old man? I said, my father, but he used to walk home a lot of old men. I said, which one is yours? So he told me his name. I said, sure. I said, one time, remember, you drove, you went to deal, you took my parents with you. Do you remember that? I said, those are your parents? He says, yes. He says, and because you helped my father, I'm going to help you. Could you imagine? All those years before, Borei Olam set into motion that I should help this person. And years later, that's the guy that I needed. Looking at your life in the grand scheme of things, watching the orchestration of Borei Olam in a detailed fashion, that's how you come to Yir'ah, to being fascinated with Hashem Barach, to looking at the greatness of Hashem, and to say, Borei Olam, ma rabu ma'asech Hashem. Look how wonderful, look how plentiful, look how great your wonderful actions are, Borei Olam. I want to tell you this, L'Kutei Moharan. And the L'Kutei Moharan says like this, Chodesh Elul hu hazeman ha'mesugal lizkot l'da'at. Yeah? When a person reaches Elul, it's a great time for da'at. Now, da'at means different things. But what he says, Da'anu she'yizkeh le'da' la'avin ma shelo haya yodea mitechila. That a person is going to understand, to comprehend, to internalize things that he wasn't able to do before. By doing so, you get new garments on your neshama. And you have the ability from that point on to be saved from sorrow, from agitation, from disaster, and from tragedy. What does it mean? You could start understanding things you didn't understand before. And it's very possible that this is exactly what we're talking about. Yir'ah. Stopping to focus on myself and starting to look at God. And to see how Borei Olam runs the world. And Hashem runs things. I want to tell you, I don't know if I told you this before. But the ladies that come to my class on Monday nights, you probably heard the story. But I'm sure you won't mind if I tell it again. Okay? Bezat Hashem. Rabbi, you either. How are you, Rabbi? You're such a great guy. At least that's what you told me a couple of minutes ago. Anyway, but this past year was very tumultuous for me, because I decided I was leaving where I was as a principal for 13 years, and I decided I had to try something new. So someone offered me a position as a principal. And they told me, listen, we want you to become a principal, and you'll be a principal of our school, no problem. They said there's one catch. There's boys and there's girls. I said, you want me to be principal of 2 yeshivot? Beautiful. He said, no, they're together. So together is a problem. So I went and I asked one of the Gedolim, Da'at Torah. And I asked him, and he told me, listen, here's the deal. You tell them that if they split all the boys and all the girls all the way, you take the position. If not, you can't take the position. It's not good for you. I said, Rabbi, no problem. I sat down with the president of the yeshiva. He says, no problem, we'll do it. We just have to sit in the board meeting and vote. But don't worry about it, Rabbi. No problem. I said, okay, sure thing. I went to my wife. I said, honey, I just became the Rosh Yeshiva of 2 schools, boys' school and a girls' school. She says, really? I said, yeah. I said, if you want, you become the principal of the boys' school, of the girls' school, and I'll be of the boys' school. She goes, I don't want to do that. I said, why not? She says, I got enough for you at home. Now I have to go to school with you. I said, thank you, honey. Anyway, I'm about to sign the paper, and then the board says, wait a second. Remember that splitting thing? I said, yeah. They said, is it a deal breaker? I said, sure is. I said, I guess we don't have a deal. We don't want to split. I said, okay. I turned around and said, Borei Olam, you're the best. I said, I love you. And I was dancing. I was sitting praying mincha, and I started dancing. Hashem, you run the world, not me. The next day, a girls' school calls me, Rabbi, I think we want you to take over the school. So you want me to take over girls' school? I said, yes. I called my wife and said, honey, I just became the Rosh Yeshiva of a girls' school. She said, I thought I was the Rosh Yeshiva. No, that was the other one. Not this school. I said, okay, I'm in. Right before we're about to sign, he says, you know what? I decided to keep it. Okay. I went down to Mincha and I started dancing. Borei Olam, Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem. You must have something unbelievable in store for me. You must have something unbelievable for me. Organization calls me. We need somebody to help us fundraise and to be in charge of the teenage program. I said, great. I said, you sure? They said, yes. I said, you sure? I said, yes. Why are you asking me? I said, I don't want to tell you. Because if I tell you, it might be contagious. You do the same thing. I said, okay, good. When can we sign? They said, after 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, they came back and said, listen, Rabbi, we decided, you're bold. No, they didn't say that. We said, we decided we need someone who talks the language of the people, and you don't talk the language of the people. There's a primary language of the people. You don't do it. All right? Went back to Mincha, started dancing. Hashem, you run the world. There's something out there that's good for me. Another rabbi called me a couple of minutes later, and the rabbi says, not a couple of minutes, a couple of days later, says, you know what? I have the best thing. I have a bunch of organizations I fundraise for. I'll get you the money you want. You help me fundraise. I said, I'm not really a best fundraiser, but okay, that's what I have. I already told all the places I'm not coming back. I'm stuck. I said, okay, let's do it. I said, can we meet next week? He said, okay. Comes next week. He says, you know what? After Pesach. Ladies and gentlemen, it's May time. No, April. And I don't have a job. I have no idea what I'm going to do in September. I don't know what to do. A friend of mine calls me up and he says, Rabbi, my uncle just passed away. Can you come speak by the Askara, the 7-day yard site? I said, Mark, do me a favor. I think I have a little bit of stress on my head now. I said, you know what, Mark? I'm coming. I'll come. So I said, Borei Olam, I'm doing a chesed. Make it happen, please. I get my speech ready, spend my time. I get up, and the speech is in my pocket, down the block, by Avenue O. I walk into the shul, just want to make my speech and leave. As I'm walking in, the lady says, Rabbi, can I talk to you? Another favor? Okay, sure. How can I help you? She says, listen, 9 years ago, I came to you with my kids. I had nowhere for my kids to go to school. And you directed me to the right yeshiva. You did a great job. My son now needs a high school. And he has nowhere for him to go. And she told me the circumstances of the boy. And she said, there's no school that I can envision will be good for my kids. I said, give me until the afternoon, let me think about it, let me go speak. Okay? I call her up after I give my speech. It was a great speech, by the way. No joke, great speech. And I tell her, listen, can you meet me in my shul? I have 3 options for you. She said, okay. She came down to the shul with the boy. I said, here's option number 1. It's this yeshiva, these are the pros, these are the cons. This is why I think it might be good for your son, but these are things you have to watch out for. I said, here's number 2. Number 2 option, these are the pros, these are the cons. This is why I think it'll be great for your kid, but this is also the deficiencies in the yeshiva. I said, option number 3 is, I'll open up a school for you. And I told her our school is different, because we teach professions, and we foster confidence, and we really help these boys. I said, if I get 10 boys, I'll open up a yeshiva for you. She says, okay, I'm going to work on it. And Baruch Hashem, tomorrow, I think we're accepting number 24. Baruch Hashem. Anyway, don't give me applause, give me money. Anyway, but if I didn't go to give that speech, never would have met the mother. Marabu ma'asecha Hashem. Elul is a time I stop, I pause, I stop thinking about my busy schedule and what's going on with me, and I start focusing on what God did for me in my life. It's an unbelievable level to reach. But if you reach that level, then you're nishmar, nitzol, mikol atzarot, because you start realizing things that you never had before. That's the purpose of Elul. And by the way, this idea of focusing on God is prevalent in the parasha we just read. The Arizal writes, there's a pasuk, when you're going to go to war with your adversaries, and you find a girl that she's in the captivity, and you take her, and the pasuk says, she's going to cry for her father and for her mother for 30 days. For her mother and for her father for 30 days. So the Borei Ba'etzba, the Chida writes, and Rabbi Yaakov Hillel explains, it's a remez, those 30 days to Elul. The 30 days of crying for your mother and your father. What does it mean they cry for her mother? This girl that was taken into captivity, why is she crying for her mother and for her father? She should be crying for herself. She's in captivity. She's taken, right? She's a captive. She's a POW. What is she crying for? And the answer is no. She's going to live a great life. She's becoming Jewish. She's totally absolved of all sorrow and all agony. She's becoming, her son's going to become the Bechor. She's going to live a great life. She's not crying for herself. She's crying for her father who lost a daughter. She's crying for her mother who lost a daughter. Comes Elul and we stop crying for ourselves. We stop crying for our own sorrow, for our own problems. And we start focusing on God. Ubacheta et aviyah. Who's aviyah? God, Baruch Shemo. And the imah is the Shekhinah. That again, we caused a distance to Borei Olam. That's what we're crying for in Elul. We're focusing on Hashem Yitbarach. But how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I cling to Borei Olam? What is the process? What are the steps? Well, the Chavetz Chaim, it says a beautiful thing. Chavetz Chaim says like this, I'll read it to you. At any time, at any place, you can always get closer to Borei Olam. He says, by the way, where do we learn it from? We learn it from Moshe Rabbeinu, Parashat Shemot. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he's watching, he's following his lamb, and all of a sudden he sees a burning bush. A burning bush, and God says, listen, Shal na'alecha ma'raglecha, take off your shoes. Why? Because the land you're standing on is Admat Kodesh. And says Chavetz Chaim, any place can be Admat Kodesh. All you got to do is take away whatever is separating you from the Admat Kodesh, from Borei Olam. Many times it's those walls that we put up, that we erect, that are standing between me and God, causing me to abstain from coming close to Borei Olam. And he says, by the way, in every generation, it's the same. It's just a question of how thick that wall is. How thick is the wall that I need to penetrate in order to see and to feel Borei Olam? Because unfortunately, as great as America is, I think the walls are very thick because there's so much luxury that we live in. There's so much indulgencies. There's so much that we embrace. And many times those things themselves, those gifts from God, are what causes us to be estranged from our Father in Shamayim. Okay, a guy wants to take a vacation, right? He wants to go to the Bahamas, right? That's where he wants to go. I always tell my students, I love to take vacations. I go to Staten Island. That's where I go. Okay, it smells a little funny sometimes. Okay, it does. It depends on the season. Do we have any Staten Islanders over here? No, nobody from Staten Island. Baruch Hashem. Huh? Do you came from Staten Island? Are you really? No, it's good. There's nothing wrong with Staten Island. It's a city. It is. Okay? But a person has to realize that vacation is it bringing you closer to Hashem Barach or taking you away. So step number one is I have to realize at every place and every time I can cling to Borei Olam. I'm sitting in traffic. I'm sitting in traffic on the Garden State Parkway. And I have the ability now to get angry, agitated, say things I don't want to say, wave a couple of things I'm not supposed to wave. Or maybe I could stop and say, Borei Olam, look at these beautiful trees. In Brooklyn, you don't have trees. There's no such thing. But the Garden State Parkway is lush with greenery. It's beautiful. Ever go in April time? In April time, the trees are different colors. Now time. October time. You go down, you should sit there for 3 hours and take a look. There's purple trees and orange trees and yellow trees and green trees. And when I show it to my wife, she says, I'm going to show you 2 colors, black and blue, if you don't stop, okay? But a person, it's just beautiful. You can cling and, right, just attach yourself to Hashem Yitbarach. In the middle of traffic, you just got to take away that poison. You got to take away the poison that's stopping me from happiness. Or on Yom Tov. On Yom Tov is a great time to cling to Hashem. Okay, just get rid of the mother-in-law. And it happens very easily, okay? That's all it is. All you have to do is realize what's separating me from Hashem Yitbarach and easily remove it in order for you to fulfill and to achieve Devikut. In fact, the Pelioetz gives us another way. So number one is consciously try to attach yourself to God. Number one. Number two, says the Pelioetz. It's a Yakut Shimoni. Yakut Shimoni says that we have to be dabek in Borei Olam. How do you cling to Hashem? He dabek b'midotav. Do what God does. Emulate Hashem. If you start emulating Hashem, copying Borei Olam, right? Then you start feeling closer to God. Mahurachum, afatarachum. Just like God is compassionate, you also be compassionate. Now, how does that work, by the way? Why is it if I emulate God, I feel closer to Hashem Yitbarach? Why does it work that way? I get zechut, I get olam haba, I'm a very nice guy, I become a tzaddik, it's wonderful. Okay? But why is it that I feel closer to Hashem if I do what God does? And the answer is very simple. When I was a principal in elementary school 7 years ago, so the administration told me, said, Rabbi, we want to make school sweatshirts. Okay? But I don't think they're going to sell. I said, I want to design them. Let me design them. So I helped design them. And the first day came, nobody bought the school sweatshirts. Second day, nobody bought the school sweatshirts. I said, Rabbi Zeytouneh, if nobody buys schools, you're buying them all. Okay? I said, mashallah, give them out in school and shul. Why not? Everyone will wear a nice one. I said, I have an idea. Leave it to me. I took a sweatshirt and I put it on. And I started walking around. Just walking around school. Now, some people, when I was a kid, I didn't particularly like my principals, but my boys liked me. So when I walked in and they saw Rabbi Z was wearing those sweatshirts, they sold like hotcakes. Now, why do they sell like hotcakes? Because these boys felt you put on a Rabbi Z sweatshirt, you become Rabbi Z. It becomes a thing. It's a funny thing. When I was a kid, the man of the day was Michael Jordan. Mike MJ. They had a whole song, I want to be like Mike. Okay? Now they say, I want to be like Zeytouneh. No one says that. They say, I don't want to be like Zeytouneh. That's what they say. Anyway, and people used to buy the jerseys, Michael Jordan jerseys. You used to pay $40. If you're going to wear a jersey, you should say your name on it, not Jordan on it. But people used to do that, and they used to spend money, and people buy the Jordan sneakers, right? Michael Jordan wears the sneakers. I want to wear the sneakers. Why do you want to wear Michael Jordan sneakers? Because it brings you close. You feel like you're closer to him. You're part of a club. So says the Pele Yakut Shimoni, you want to feel like you're close to God? Do what God does. You'll feel very close to God. There's a closeness that emerges when I emulate, when I mimic, when I replicate what Borei Olam does. And that's what it means in the big midotav. And says the Pele Yoetz, being a Rahman isn't only to your friends. We think being compassionate is, you be nice to your friends, you're compassionate. But that's interesting. Because God isn't only compassionate to those who listen to Him, God is compassionate to those who don't. Read the Tomei Devorah. Right? Meil kamocha. God gives a person the ability to breathe. His oxygen, right, comes throughout his system, even though the guy is sinning. And while the guy is sinning, God gives him the ability to breathe. Unbelievable. Says the Pele Yoetz, it's nice to be a Rahman to your friends, but you're a Rahman to those people who agitate you, that bother you. You know, this past week, I had a guy who works for me, and he just got on my nerves. The guy got on my nerves, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I wanted to fire the guy, and I told my committee, I said, guys, I'm not doing this. I'm letting the guy go. I'm letting him go. So I sat him down after Shabbat. No, it wasn't after Shabbat. It was on a Tuesday, and I said, listen, Jack, I can't work this way anymore. I'm sorry. I hired you to take stress off my back. If I want stress, I go home. No, I said, if I want stress, I could do myself. I said, I hired you to do a job because I don't want the stress. You're giving me more stress. You're making things unbearable for me. I said, listen, I don't know if I could do this. I have to think if I could do it. And then in the same breath, I said, but you know what? I want to help you find another job also. In addition to this, if I do continue, I want to help you find another job. When the guy just bothered you, he agitated you, he made you pull out whatever little hairs you have left, and you're helping him find, that's godly. That's the big midotav. Now I feel a little bit more like God. Now I feel, well, not like God, but I feel close to God. I feel close to Hashem Yitbarach. Because you're acting in the ways of Borei Olam. So yes, number one, try to be consciously close to God. Remove all barriers. Number two, act and emulate, replicate the ways of Hashem Yitbarach. 1 second. But now I'm going to give you 4 more ways. Ready? I love this. Says Rav Dessler, there's a pasuk, we know that when the Bnei Yisrael really come close and attach themselves to God more than ever before. So you're going to say where? You're going to say Matan Torah. It could be, but there's one time where the rabbis say that they attach themselves more to God than even Matan Torah. Anybody know when? By Purim. Purim, Bnei Yisrael accepted Torah me'ahava. There was no yirah. There was no mountain that was hovering over their heads. It was total love. And the pasuk says, "LaYehudi ba'ita ora, simcha, sason, vikar." It says Rav Dessler, ora, simcha, sason, vikar. Those are 4 ways you could cling to God. Those are 4 ways you can be the big Bakadosh Baruch Hu. 4 ways. What are those 4 ways? Well, let's go through them. Ready? Number 1 is ora. What's ora? Ora is Torah. Everyone knows that. It's a Gemara Masechet Megillah, right? It says ora is Torah. Wonderful. Because when a person learns Torah, that's God talking to you. And realizing that that's God talking to you, that's how you become closer to Hashem Barach. So that's ora. Number 2 is simcha. What's simcha? Says Rav Dessler, simcha is divikut mitzad hakarat hatov. That's looking at all the wonderful things that we just discussed before and realizing how God is good to you. That makes you cling to God. I didn't say anything new yet. But number 3 is sason. What's sason? Says Gemara Masechet Megillah, sason zo milah, the mitzvot. When I do a mitzvah, it brings me closer to Hashem. If I have emunah in Hashem, I want to do things again that God wants. I want to do things that are going to bring me closer to Borei Olam Yitbarach. Wait a second, I'll prove it to you. Anyone here say Selichot? Yeah, okay, we have the men say Selichot. You're going to say Hashem 1250 B'ezrat Hashem tonight. Okay, follow your live streaming. Anyone watching this? Anyone on this? There are people? Very good. Hi, Ma, thank you. Okay? So, 1 second. What do we say? We say, Anshe Emunah Abadu. The people who had real Emunah. You don't find them anymore. They're scarce. Ba'im bekoach ma'asehem. They come with the power, the potency of their actions. 1 second. What do you mean ba'im bekoach ma'asehem? What does it mean lavo? What's the difference between ba and holech? Holech means is distancing himself. He's going farther. Ba means he's getting closer. The people who have real emunah, ba'im bekoach ma'asehem. Every time they do a mitzvah, they get closer to Hashem Yitbarach. Every time they do a mitzvah, they come closer to Hashem. It brings them one step closer. They davig in Hashem Yitbarach. They gifted, right? They put on tefillin. I did something for God. It makes them closer, right? They give tzedakah. I did something for God. It makes them closer. Ba'im bekoach ma'asim. So the mitzvah that a person does can bring you closer to God. That's number 3. Wait a second. My favorite is number 4. Vikar. What's vikar? I want you to hear the words of Rav Dessler, because if you came for anything tonight, this is what you came for. Says Rav Dessler. What does the word yakar mean? Yakar means special. It means unique. Says Rav Dessler, if you want to cling to God, you want to fasten yourself to the Master of the universe, take a look at your own life and see how are you a unique person. There are no 2 people in the world, in the universe, that are the same. Everybody is different. Partzufim are different, right? And their ways are different. Everybody. Says Rav Dessler, you want to cling to God? Take a look at something that you have that nobody else has. Okay? I could tell you there are things that I don't have that everybody does have here. But anyway, besides that. Okay? But look at where you're unique. And say, wow, God, you made me unique. You gave me that special trait that nobody else has. I am special. And if I do that, and I'm able to do it right, then B'ezrat Hashem, you'll be zochet to the vikut. Because you realize how much Hashem loves you. And He made you different than everybody else. It's a phenomenal way in Elul to invest in Hashem Yitbarach. But the truth of the matter is that any time a person invests in something, let's be honest, you want returns. You want returns. Guy goes out with a girl, he buys her roses, he buys her candy, right? He gives her a ring, he wants to get married. Guy wants to get married. So he buys his way in, he's investing. It's not called bribing. Well, for me it was, but nobody else. Okay? It's investing. Investing. When a person goes into a business, you don't want to give something and lose it. You want to give something and get returns. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you tonight that when you invest in Borei Olam and stop focusing on yourself, the returns are insurmountable. They're unbelievable. And they're infinite. And I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Right to Nefesh HaChaim. Rav Chaim Volozhin. It's a beautiful thing. He quotes the Gaon Mevilna. And the Gaon Mevilna comes in and says, you know, the Gemara Masechet Chagiga, and Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. And the Gemara over there writes that Shabbat, Bnei Israel, and the Torah, Shabbat, Bnei Israel, and God, all testify about one another. Bnei Israel say about God that God is one. And God says about Bnei Israel that they are one. How are you? Everyone testifies about each other. It's wonderful. And we know that God also wears tefillin. What's in God's tefillin? Umi kamecha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. In our tefillin it says Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. In God's tefillin it says Umi kamecha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. The word one means there is no second. It doesn't say Rishon, it says Echad, one. You're in a league of your own. Listen to what the Gaon says. What does it mean to wear tefillin? And how does it work with Borei Olam? Says the Gaon of Vilna, sorry. He says when a person wears tefillin, anu mishabedin kol kochot v'choshim lishmo. When we wear tefillin, we're saying our hands, our mind, our bodies are completely subservient and dedicated to Hashem Yitbarach. Listen to what the Gaon says. He says, when we do that and we put on our tefillin, God puts on His tefillin. And God says, you're giving all of your kohot to me, I'm going to give all my kohot to you. You decide that you're not focusing on yourself anymore. You're going to focus on Hashem. You're going to focus on the Master of the universe, the Creator of the world. God says, you left your preferences and you put them aside. I'm going to make sure that your preferences are fulfilled. I'm going to make sure that you're going to be my focus in life. Isn't it worth it? Is that not worth the return, the investment? One second. In fact, there's a pasuk that we say in that's written in Mishlei. It's a great pasuk. I love it. Pasuk writes like this. Perek Tet Zayin. Pasuk says like this. B'rtzot Adonai darchei ish, gam oivav yashlim ito. I always quote this pasuk. When a person does what God wants, even his enemies make peace with him. Even his enemies. By the way, the rabbis say, who's the enemy? I'm not even joking. This oivav is ishto, his wife. Seriously. I'm telling you. It's a Chazaq. So a person wants shalom bayit. What happened?
His wife was his enemy.
Were you at my bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Please deposit the present at the door. And that means even, not. So that means if I want, once a person told me, my wife is driving me crazy. She's driving me absolutely crazy. She won't stop. She's on my case about everything. Everything I do, she's on my case. Everything I do, she's on my case. I told him, listen to me. You want Shalom Bayit 101? He said, yes. I said, come to my class. He said, what? Come to my class. What does your class have to do with you? Talk about Shalom Bayit? I said, not really. He said, so what's that going to do? I said, listen, I bore people so much. The second they get home, they go to sleep. You'll never talk to your wife again. I said, you have Shalom Bayit? I said, no. I said, when a person goes and you learn Torah, God will make sure you have Shalom Bayit. If you invest in God and you say, Borei Olam, I'm going to spend my time, dedicate my energies to make you happy. God says, you did it for me. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to make sure you have no adversaries. I'm going to make sure there are going to be no opponents. I'm going to make sure that you have Shalom Bayit. Gam oivav yashlim ito. That's even your enemy is going to come. That's why it says, what does it say? It says, Ki tetzeh lamilchama al oyevecha, untano Adonai Elohecha biyadecha. God puts them in your hands. The word Ki tetzeh has the mispar katan, means no zeros, of 17. The same mispar katan as the word Torah. Because if a person learns Torah, then you go to milchama, God puts the enemy in your hand. It's you investing in yourself, not only investing in God. There's a sefer called Sefer Midot. Sefer Midot was written by Rav Nachman from Breslov. Okay, all he knows, because she tells me all the time that it's that's a good sefer. And Sefer Midot says like this. When a person loves God, when you reach that level of ahava through yirah, you went through Elul, you got to Rosh Hashanah, you're in Aseh Yemei Teshuvah, you're in the level of loving God because you realize how unbelievably awesome God is. Nishmar mipe gara, you're guaranteed to be saved from any ailments, from any headaches, from any problems. Investing in Hashem Yitbarach. Wow. What a remedy. What an antidote. From all your problems and all your headaches. To have such an idea. I told you one time, I was on my way to, it was last week. I was on my way to, I said this story, did I say it last week? I don't know. I was on my way to yeshiva. I want to do mitzvah. I want to help somebody. And I had the phone in my hand. And as I have the phone in my hand, I was probably talking to Rabbi, for all I know. And as I had the phone in my hand, so Chazaq could pay for my ticket. I make a left onto Avenue U. And as I make a left onto Avenue U, all of a sudden I hear a siren. Right? Holy dachilak, what do I do now? So, I pull over. And the guy says, do you know why I stopped you? I said, well, if you don't know, why'd you stop me? What are you asking me? What do you mean? He said, I stopped you for 2 reasons. Hadush, 2 reasons. I said, please divulge. Why'd you stop me? He said, well, reason number 1 is because you had a phone in your hand. I said, you're right, officer. I did have a phone in my hand. I said, but what's reason number 2? He said, well, reason number 2 is because while you were turning into Avenue U, you didn't yield pedestrians and you almost hit a lady. I said, well, that one I could explain. I thought she was my mother-in-law. No, I didn't say it. I said, really? I didn't even know that there was a person there. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, I'm so sorry. Really, I am. And then he goes to the car, and I look at Hashem, and I said, Borei Olam, I'm going to do a mitzvah. I said, Hashem Yitbarach, I love you. Please, get me out of this. So the guy comes back, and he has one paper in his hand. I said, officer, in New York City cutting down on trees? You put two tickets in one? What happened? He turns and he says, listen, I'm going to give you a summons because you almost hit the lady. So he says, if it was my mother-in-law, I'd let it go. No, he didn't say that. And he says, I'm going to give you a summons, but for the cell phone in the hand, I'm just giving you a warning. I said, no, you're not. You're joking. He says, when does that ever happen? Cops give warnings? What's a warning? So I never got a warning. And trust me, I've been pulled over a lot. Never got a warning. Okay? But he says, I'm giving you a warning. Because when you put your trust in Hashem Yitbarach, when you put your love into Hashem Yitbarach, God says, you don't have any worries. There is no worries. Because you place all your faith in me. And that is the point of Elul. That's the point of Elul. In fact, there is a Gemara Masechet Yevamot, Daf Mem Tet Amud Bet. And the Gemara writes like this. It says, I'm going to fill your days with greatness. Elul Shnei Dorot. So it's talking about the days when a person is born. God writes down how many days the guy is going to live. Ready? Zacha mashlimin lo. If a person is zocher, he gets all the days he's supposed to live. Lo zacha pochatin lo. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. So if you're not zocher, they take away the days. But the rabbis say no. Zacha mosifin lo. If you do what you're supposed to do, they give you more days. They tell a person he's supposed to live 120. People say, Ad me'avesim. I said, why are you cursing me? I want to live more than 120. Who said 120? I said, I want to live 150. I want to live 180. I want to live forever. 120 is katuf. Doesn't say anywhere. But if a person does good on Hashem, and you become entrenched in God, you could live longer. The returns are paramount. When I was a kid, people say, you're a principal. They say, Rabbi, you're a principal of school? I said, yeah. They say, how? How did that happen? Because people who remember me from high school would be very shocked when they realized that I opened a yeshiva. One day I'll tell you, but I have a student over here, I don't want him to hear my secrets. But generally, I wasn't exactly the best student. But in school, we were always required to read books. Okay? And if you ask me, until today, and I'm apparently an old geezer with swollen ankles, if you ask me how many books I read my entire life, full books, cover to cover, right, English books, I would say 0. I don't think I've ever read a book. I've written books, Baruch Hashem. I've written books, cover to cover. I don't think I've ever read a book, cover to cover. So you say, how do you do it? How did you get through high school and never read a book? Well, Baruch Hashem, God bless his soul, the man. There's a man named Cliff. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And Cliff had nothing to do as a child, read a lot of books. And he wrote summaries of these books. They're called Cliff Notes. Inte close your ears, don't listen to me. Okay? They're called Cliff's Notes. And any book that you want to read, you go buy a Cliff's Notes. And that's what I did every time I had to go get a book. I went to the nearest bookstore. He said, how you doing, Eliezer? I said, very good. He said, nice to see you. I have another book to read, obviously. I said, yes. Okay? He said, what book? I would tell him the book. It was 15 pages. Instead of reading 400 pages of nonsense, I read 15 pages. Baruch Hashem, went out for dinner with my friends, and we had a great time. But the problem is, when the teacher asked you details, you had absolutely no idea. Right? So, where did Stanley take the car? Who's Stanley? Right? What do you mean? Stanley. I said, which time? What do you mean? What are you talking about? No, when he went to Eliezer, there is no Stanley in the book. I said, I know. I was thinking about Stanley from the other book. From the others. And I had to get my way out of, one time, one time, okay, you could hear this. I'm not going to fall for it. One time, there was a biology paper due. Biology paper was due. Rabbi Badush, you're going to have to forgive me. And I didn't do it. And I forgot about it. So the night comes and the teacher calls me up on my phone. Right? My house phone. There were no cell phones in those days. I am old. And my mom says, Eliezer, Mr. Cohen on the phone. Mr. Cohen, why does he want me? I get on the phone, he goes, Eliezer, I don't have your biology paper. I said, what? You don't have my biology paper? I said, what are you talking about? I said, you sure you checked your papers? Did you check your papers? Right? He said, I don't have your biology. I said, please, don't tell me you don't have my biology paper. I said, do you know how hard I worked on that biology paper? I said, what's wrong with you? I said, he says, listen. I'm going to check my papers one more time. I'll check and I'll call you back. I said, please. You want me to say Tehillim to find the biology paper? I said, you want me to? I said, okay. He goes, he hangs up the phone, and he starts checking his papers. He calls me back half an hour. He goes, Eliezer, I'm so sorry. I didn't find your biology paper. I said, can I give you a B? I said, Mr. Cohen, a B? Really? I said, do you know how hard I worked on this? I said, all right, you know what, Mr. Cohen? A B is fine. I closed it. Right? I went for shortcuts all the way, but I was never prepared when it counted. Ladies and gentlemen, in life, do not live a Cliff's Note life. We have 15 days left. 15 days left to achieve Devikut in Hashem, to get close to Hashem Yitbarach, to attach and fasten yourself to the Master of the universe. Don't live a Cliff's Note life. Don't come 2 days before Hashanah and decide, now I'm going to come close to Hashem Yitbarach. Because it's a process that takes time. It's a process that takes dedication, and it takes attention. And therefore, if I start today, and I go home today, and already I start looking at the good things in my life, I look at the Hakarat HaTov, I look at the masterful engineering that circumvents my life, now I could start today. Don't wait for a day before Rosh Hashanah to read the Cliff Notes. It doesn't help. The details that are embedded in the Biri'ah, in the Hanhagah, in the way God runs the world, runs my life, could be so beautiful and so uplifting that I should start now. Don't beleaguer and don't delay and don't postpone. Let's start today. And B'ezrat Hashem, if we invest early, then the returns will be much, much greater. I thank you so much for being here tonight and for inviting me to speak. We hope you enjoyed. If not, no refunds. Baruch Hanai L'Olam. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much.